Chris Hayes is an anchor over on MSNBC, the one with the glasses. Hayes' political views aren't very interesting, cringing hipster sensitivity burnished with low-grade academic buzzwords. Pretty banal stuff. But Hayes always seemed like a decent guy personally. He didn't seem like a hater. It was hard to imagine him promoting open racism or anti-Semitism. Or at least it was hard to imagine until the other night. That's when Hayes invited a man called Angelo Carlson onto his show. Carlson runs Media Matters. Almost every day he issues outraged press releases accusing other people of bigotry. And yet, because everything is irony, Carlson is himself an enthusiastic bigot. We know this for sure because he has written about it extensively. It turns out that for years, Carlson maintained a racist blog. One post entitled, quote, "Tranny Paradise," addressed a crime story from Thailand. A Bangladeshi man had been robbed and assaulted by a group of male prostitutes dressed as women. Carlson objected to the idea that this was even a story and ridiculed South Asians as inherently ugly and poor. Quote, "Is the writer a tranny lover too? Or perhaps he's just trying to justify how these trannies tricked this Bangladeshi in the first place. Look, man, we don't need to know whether or not they were attractive. The effing guy was Bangladeshi. What the hell was he doing with $7,300 worth of stuff? The guy's Bangladeshi." End quote. In another post, Carlson described how a male coach at a Japanese high school had sexually abused female players. People in Japan were horrified by this, understandably. Carlson was not. His advice, quote, "Lighten up, Japs." Later that month, Carlson, by now in a frenzy of racism, heaped praise on a former Ku Klux Klan leader. In still another post from the same period, Carlson described a Jewish man as being handsome, quote, "despite his Jewry." Carlson didn't like the man's political views, but attributed them to, quote, "his possession of several bags of Jewish gold," end quote. Jewish gold. According to Angelo Carlson, Jewish gold is a problem. Media Matters probably ought to issue a press release about this. They've done a lot more for a lot less. And yet somehow, and this is the remarkable part, Chris Hayes managed to pretend that none of this ever happened. Hayes never mentioned the Jewish gold. He never said a word about the Japs or the trannies or the Klan or even those dirty Bangladeshis who deserve what they get no matter what the tranny lovers say. None of that. Instead, Hayes gave cover to Carlson's bigotry and anti-Semitism. Amazingly, he even directed his viewers to Carlson's website.
Angelo Carlson, of course, all that can be found at Media Matters website, so you can listen to the full clips, get the full context.
Right. Pretty amazing. If a guy with a history of ranting about Jewish gold came on your show, would you ask him about it? Would you challenge him on it? How could you not? You'd feel morally obligated. But Chris Hayes didn't. That tells you a lot. Now, to be clear, we're not calling for either of these people to be imprisoned or executed or even fired from their high-paying jobs. We're not planning to organize an advertiser boycott against them. We won't picket their offices with bullhorns. We won't attack their children. But we do think you should know what they're actually like. And in Chris Hayes' case, it's kind of depressing to find out. Turns out you really never know who people are.